Recently, I won't say relaunched, but the PS5 console has been short of supply recently. But the what do you call this? But the recent release of the PS5 were concerns of, according to a YouTuber from Austin Evans, where he mentions that the cooling could be a significant issue here, which got me concerned also. So let's see here. Yes, that the cooling could significantly hamper the performance of the PlayStation console here. And according to NME.com, it mentions that could be worse, but obviously looks can be deceiving here. Now, obviously, did Sony change any of the components there to significantly hamper the console here? Because obviously there have been many issues in their previous iteration of the other consoles or earlier consoles about heating issue, and obviously heat is a main antagonist for the console's longevity here with regards to the CPU and then the GPU as well here. So if heat is not properly managed, then the red light of death. If you recall, in not just in the PlayStation as well as the Xbox, if that were to happen here, obviously we don't want to have that repeat incident again here. But as I mentioned, the YouTuber Austin Evans did I would say a thorough dissection of the console here, but he did, mention that also. But he tried to measure the heat that's being expelled in the console, which was a few degrees higher, which is not terribly bad. But once he opened up the console, he goes on to mention that there were changes made in the heat sink there, which was made smaller here. So the question here is, did it hamper or made it worse in terms of performance, which is what we're here all about, right? Because no matter what Sony tells us here at the end of the day, because if it makes the console perform much worse, then it could be a severe impact in the longevity, especially with the latest technology with the SSDs here. So you're paying a lot of money for those technology, and then if it's not going to last a few years or even decades here, could be quite concerning here. And obviously he goes on to mention regarding the reworked fan and the cooling system. So it's, I won't say you should be totally concerned, but it's also to point it out that for companies trying to change the internal components of any devices here, it's important that you communicate it with your consumers here, that did it change the performance, or is it still, or is it even better? So I think that's what's lacking in the communication here. And according to Tech USA Review. I forgot his channel. Anyway, he mentions that there were actual testing that was done that said that either it was similar to the previous original launch of the PS5 console, or it was even better on some aspects with the SoC chip here. So actually there was no concerns to begin with here, which is it's fair enough for many people to obviously cast doubt where companies have made mistakes from the past. So obviously as a consumer, one has to be aware and always keep them on their toes, so that they don't you know try to deceive their consumers, which they have done in past. So obviously we have the right to be vocal about it, so to speak. And obviously the end of the day here is, if try to cut costs there, and then the performance worsens, then that's the onus on Sony here. But if that's the case, that if the performance is similar or even better, then they should market it as is, and never be afraid, because obviously the demand for supply or chips here is in limited supply. So obviously Sony has to make changes or adjustments with regards to their current console here. And obviously the article even goes on to say that they've been selling the consoles for loss year. Well, that's not our problem here, right? Because they're trying to uh, get our patronage here. And actually being anti-consumer is another issue altogether for Sony here, apart from the console, wherein you're supposed to charge instead of free upgrade from your PS4 console to your PS5. The fact that you've already bought their consoles from the earlier generation to the current one, you don't even reward us by giving a free upgrade, similar to how Xbox is doing it. If Xbox can do it, why can't Sony do that as well, and obviously, which goes back to the money issue here, which is their primary objective. They could have simply said, with the backlash on the Forbidden West, right? They promised that they would give a free upgrade, but lo and behold, they changed their mind, and they thought they could get away with it, but they had, had backlash from their community that there were proven actual statements that you said on your website that you're going to provide a free upgrade. My thinking there is that they want you to ditch your physical unit or the copy and purchase the digital purchase. That's why they set it up the way it is. But that's a different discussion. Anyway, so at the end, did Austin Evans made a mistake here? Could be, but at the end of the day, getting awareness from companies like Sony or even Microsoft or even Nintendo, they do make mistakes from time to time, and we need to keep them on their toes, I think, so that they'll be upfront and make sure that they're pro-consumer rather than anti-consumer, which is a dangerous slope that many of the companies are playing here.